Herc, it felt like the last game we were going to watch in a while, at least on this continent. Club America and Cruz Azul Sunday night at Azteca. Cruz Azul gets the win, but it was really dramatic late. A stoppage time missed penalty for America from Emma Aguilera. Just what did you think of the match?
Overall, I thought it left a lot to be desired, especially from Club America. This is a team right now that's really lacking a lot of punch. And if you look at Cruz Azul, I know they played well. I know we've seen this from Cruz Azul before. I know we should get excited. Cruz Azul right now, they're super leaders. They're in first place. They've got a very good defense. They boast Cabecita Rodriguez, who's the leading goal scorer, one of the leading goal scorers in Mexican soccer at the moment. I understand all these things are going in favor of them. Given the circumstances, no Pablo Aguilar out to an ACL injury. Caraglio didn't even play, didn't even start the season, no starting nine, and yet here they are. And in the moment that everybody's expecting the Cruz Azuliar moment where it's all going to go down the drain, the last second, Jesus Corona stops a penalty, the potential equalizer. Maybe things are changing. Maybe things are turning. For whatever reason, Cruz Azul is doing it this season when everything's against them. This goes to Siboldi. This goes to those players. But if I'm talking the match in general as a whole, it left a lot to be desired for a Clásico.
Is Cruz Azul the best team in Mexico right now? They got the most goals. They're top of the table. Are they the best team in Liga MX at the moment as we go to this break?
Listen, it's very easy to say yes because of numbers, but I don't think so. I don't feel so. I actually feel León is the best team when you look at play, balance, when you look at the playmakers they have, the depth. I have to pick León over Cruz Azul, but it's hard to pick against a team that no matter what obstacle you've thrown at him this season, I've mentioned Caraglio, starting number 9, out for the season. I mentioned Pablo Aguilar, torn ACL, probably one of the best defenders in Liga MX over the last decade. Siboldi, the management and ownership, all the problems they've had off the field, and yet here they are. Whether it's CONCACAF Champions League or whether it's League, they're just performing at a different level. But for my money, my taste, I pick León.
All right, quick question on the game for itself, because I feel like we might have a debate here. Who had a better night, Jesus Corona or Memo Ochoa?
Wow, I mean, I think it's Memo Ochoa because he kept America in that game. It could have been a blowout. I mean, obviously, Cruz Azul had their say about that. A lot of missed chances, judgmental errors on their end in the final third, especially early on. But it's Memo Ochoa is the reason that they were in the position to actually have that game-tying penalty kick at the end. Jesus Corona did his thing. I thought he came off the line. It doesn't matter. I also didn't think it was a penalty kick, so that's irrelevant. But it's Memo Ochoa, without a doubt. San Memo in this one, he's the reason that they even got to that moment.
This is a game that had it been played under normal circumstances. It's a home stadium for both teams. It would have been full. I feel like you can give us a good perspective of just how weird it was for you to watch this game in an empty stadium. You've played there full at both club level, international level. Like, just how weird was it to see that stadium empty on Sunday night?
Let me talk first about the player perspective because I've played there with the U.S. men's national team. I've played there with various clubs against America. It's an imposing stadium. It's very intimidating. The atmosphere, the club, the afición, the fanatics, the way they make that, a home fortress is special. And there's a reason they have such a great record when it comes to playing at home, both Mexico and whoever plays there. So when you see this historic stadium and it's empty, at one time this had 120,000 spectators. Now it's up to, I believe, 90. When you see it empty, a part of you says, like, wow, this is crazy. This is insane. And I could only imagine what the players are thinking, trying to put themselves into that game mode. And yes, they're professionals. It's their job. I understand. But when you play in a stadium and it's empty, it almost feels like this pre-match entre escuadras scrimmage game. It doesn't have the same taste, the same mentality to it. Sometimes these home teams, the reason they have such a great record is because their fan base, the conditions are there for them to have that record. They impulse them, they propel them to these great feats at home. I didn't see that yesterday. That sabor, that taste for it, that flavor, it was missing. And listen, from a neutral, I should say, media standpoint, I called the Santos versus Necaxa game yesterday, and it was behind closed doors. And it's very difficult to call a game like that. It's very difficult for, the person who's doing the play-by-play or the color to really get in and describe what they're feeling, what they're seeing to the viewers so they can get a grasp of what's actually going on. It was very eerie feeling.
Right, sure, Herc, make it all about you. It was a weird Clásico. One last question here. On this very program, maybe a week ago, you said LAFC has the capacity to embarrass Cruz Azul. After what you saw last night, you sticking to that?
Yes, I mean, they let America hang on, and they should have been game over. And this is a very toothless America team, probably one of the worst rosters that they had. It's not even their fault, just circumstantial, players being hurt, off-the-field issues, selling of players they actually have that were worth of anything, punishment to a certain player like Roger Martinez, but it's still a toothless America. Now listen, if they play midweek like America played midweek, and then you throw in a team like LAFC, and you saw what they did against Portmore, what they didn't do with that alternate squad. I honestly think it was a cocktail. It was a recipe for disaster for Cruz Azul. That game did not happen, obviously, but the way they play, they give those spaces in transition. That's what LAFC does the best.
The leaders in Mexico still going to get embarrassed by LAFC. You heard it here first from Herculez Gomez.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.